Being a moderator might have been more fun, but I've always liked this part of it because I can control the message. But here's the proposition I want to present to you, because this panel is about green marketing. And my question to you is, can an incumbent utility, can it rebrand itself green? Now, my former company had a reputation for being affordable, reliable, and safe. Three really important characteristics. I don't think anybody would say we were green. We were one of the highest emitters of CO2 in the United States. We spent maybe $15 billion cleaning up our coal plants relative to SOx, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and mercury. And so the question is, can we make the change? How long will it take? Because at the end of the day, you can't brand yourself unless you walk the talk. You can't brand yourself unless you are authentic in terms of how you talk about it and what you do. So what are we doing on our journey? The first thing is, you go back between 2005 and 2015, we've reduced our carbon emissions 28%. For our industry, we've reduced it 20%. And you go, well, that's interesting, but so what? You have a lot of it. It's interesting because our government doesn't require us to reduce our CO2. There's no price on carbon in the United States. So we've done it because we know we're a capital-intensive industry. We have to have a very long view, and we have to begin now if we're going to successfully transform our fleet. And we're on that road. But during this time, notwithstanding our emissions, but mainly because of our efforts, we have been on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for North America for the last 11 years. So but as you know, in branding, it's not always what you say about yourself, it's what others may say about you. The other thing that we're doing is investing in renewables, wind primarily, and then solar. And we started investing 7 or 8 years ago, but we didn't buy wind and solar for our customers. We built wind and solar and sold it to customers across the country where the wind blows and where the sun shines, because the economics hadn't improved a lot. We subsequently started buying solar in North Carolina, the state where we're headquartered, and now we're the number 2 state in the country in terms of the build out of solar. But we waited till it was more affordable because we had to honor the promise we've had to our customers of being affordable as well as reliable. And we've learned to integrate, we're continuing to learn how to integrate renewable resources or variable resources into the grid. But we also invested in a company in California that puts solar on the roof. And we've sent some of our people there to run the company. So we're developing the expertise in states that have a more favorable regulatory environment for solar on the roof, so we'll get a head start on understanding how to deploy it in other parts of the United States, as well as in the areas that we primarily serve. So we've taken a step in reduction of carbon, we've taken steps in terms of investment, but even working with our customers, because if you want to shape your customers' feelings about you, you have to do real things. One of the things we do is we give customers a discount if they'll buy a thermostat, preferably a Nest thermostat, because it has the capability to communicate with devices, and we all know we're moving into an era of the Internet of everything, where everything is connected. And so starting to educate people to deploy technology, and by the way, I don't believe energy efficiency, I don't believe that's a behavioral thing, because the use of electricity is so back of mind that people don't think about it. So you have to deploy technologies to really make it work. I think thermostats and being able to wire up all the devices in the home will reduce use over a longer period of time. The other thing we've done is go to our headquarters city, Charlotte, and we went to every business in the downtown area, every building, And we basically put in place what we call Envision Charlotte. And that's really all about reducing our use of electricity in the city center 20% in 5 years. And we're really on the way to getting that done. So that's just another step that we're taking with customers and communities to move it forward. The other thing that we're really doing is focusing on our positions in the political arena. I won't get into politics. I won't talk about Clinton. I won't talk about Trump. I mean, it's ridiculous, all I will say. But the important point here is we are there and arguing consistent with how we're transforming the company. We're not clinging to the past, which is often the temptation, but we're beginning to position ourselves for the future. And I think to be green, you know, there is a thing called greenwash. I get that. I've been accused of that. I don't use greenwash. I use Vicine. It gets the red out. Greenwash doesn't. But my point here is you got to do real things, and you got to do them in real time to really make the transition. And you say, well, is green really matter? Well, you actually have to educate all your stakeholders. You have to educate your customers as to why it matters. If you tell them it increased rates 10%, they won't find that something they embrace. But if you tell them only 5%, maybe. Because there's only a small subset of American citizens that care about the environment. They want the environment to be a great environment, but they don't want to pay significantly more to ensure that the environment is better. So you have to still keep focused on affordability. You have to talk to your investors and say, look, we're not doing dumb things. We're making smart investments. We're repositioning the company for the future. You have to really talk to your board of directors because they might not buy in. You have to give them a vision of how you're transforming the company and repositioning for a new world that's coming. And the great blessing in the United States is, and around the world actually, is we're developing really cost-effective technology. Solar, the price has fallen 80% since 2008. Wind turbines are more efficient now than they've ever been. We are in the US today taking old wind turbines and replacing them with new ones because the efficiency has improved that much. And so you see, and storage technologies are also coming along that will facilitate the use of renewables on the system, which really leads me to the kind of next thing that you have to do. You have to spend billions of dollars transforming your grid from analog, built in an earlier time, to a digital grid to facilitate solar on the roof, to facilitate EVs, electric vehicles, to facilitate the storage on your system. So you have to transform the grid, and I believe the grid will become indispensable to this modern era with new technologies, low carbon technologies, and that's where you have to go. But at the end of the day, you won't get there with just good deeds because the bottom line is you have history. We had a coal ash spill that created a lot of furor in North Carolina. But you're going to have missteps along the way, but branding is about keeping focused on the horizon, solving the problems as you go, repositioning the company with a clear vision of where you need to be, and knowing that if you're green in the deepest sense of the word, that you will create more value for all your stakeholders for the long term. You will truly be a sustainable company. Thank you all very much.